My name is Lauren Harper. I'm 36 years old. 3 months ago, I found a family group chat I had never been added to. 47 messages. My daughter's name was in most of them. Grace is 10 years old. She has her father's eyes and my stubbornness. She collects rocks, not casually, not the way kids pick up a pretty stone at the beach and forget about it in their jacket pocket. Seriously. She has a system. Labeled containers, a notebook where she records where each one came from, a small reference book she carries in her backpack that is held together with a rubber band because the spine gave out 6 months ago and she refuses to replace it because, she says, it has character now. She makes her bed every morning without being asked. She holds doors open for strangers. She once spent 3 hours making a birthday card for her grandmother, cutting, folding, writing in her careful loopy handwriting, pressing dried flowers from our garden between the pages, because she'd read somewhere that flowers mean something specific and she wanted to get it right. Marigolds, she told me. They mean warmth and devotion. That grandmother was one of the people in the chat. I didn't lose my temper. I didn't reply to a single message. I took screenshots of all 47, saved them to a folder on my phone, and made 2 phone calls. Within a week, my mother-in-law had lost her key to our house. My sister-in-law had been removed from organizing the family Christmas gathering she'd run for 6 years, and the $400 I'd been sending every month quietly, without conditions, for 3 years, stopped. Here's what happened. It started in January. Normal January. Cold and gray. The kind of month that makes everything feel slightly heavier than it should. Grace had just started a new school. We'd moved in October. My husband Daniel's job. New city, no discussion. Grace handled it the way Grace handles most things. Quietly, carefully, without complaint. She packed her own boxes. She organized her rock collection herself, wrapping each one in newspaper, labeling each package so she'd know exactly where everything went when we unpacked. She said goodbye to her best friend Mia with a long hug at the door, and I watched her save the tears for the car ride, pressing her face against the cold window while the houses of her old neighborhood disappeared behind us. The new school was okay. Not wonderful, just okay. She hadn't found her people yet. She came home most days, did her homework at the kitchen table, ate dinner, asked to be excused, read her books. She was adjusting. That's what it looked like from the outside. A child adjusting. Moving slowly but steadily towards something better. I watched her carefully, the way mothers do. Some nights I'd hear her in her room after lights out, not crying, just moving things around on her desk, rearranging, reorganizing. It's what she does when she's working something out in her head. I'd stand in the hallway outside her door and listen to the small sounds and tell myself, she's okay. She's figuring it out. This is what figuring it out sounds like. She never once complained. Never said it was hard. Never asked to go back. I did not fully understand until later how much energy that cost her. My mother-in-law, Barbara, had been in town for Christmas and stayed through New Year. She's the kind of woman who fills a room without trying. Loud opinions, strong presence, very clear ideas about how things should be done, and an equal confidence that her way is the right one. We had a civil relationship. Genuinely civil, not warm, but respectful, and I had decided years ago that civil was enough. Barbara has another granddaughter. My sister-in-law Diane's daughter, Peyton, 11 years old, straight-A student, competitive gymnast, the kind of child who is easy to celebrate because she gives you so much obvious material. First place ribbons, honor roll certificates, a confidence that walks into rooms before she does. Barbara adored her, loudly, in the particular way that requires an audience and a contrast. Did you hear Peyton place first at regionals? She's being scouted already, at 11. Can you imagine? Grace would be sitting right there. She would not look up. She would not react. She would absorb it like she absorbs everything, steadily, quietly, without letting it show. And then she would go back to whatever she was doing and not mention it again. I mentioned it to Daniel more than once. "Your mother does this." He would nod, say he'd say something to her, and then something would come up, or the moment would pass, and nothing would change. I kept letting it go. That was my mistake. After Christmas, Barbara went home. January settled in, routine returned. Then, one evening in late January, Daniel's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. I wasn't looking at his phone. I wasn't anywhere near it intentionally. I was refilling my water glass, and the screen lit up with a preview notification, and the name of the group chat stopped me completely. Harper Family, minus Lauren. I stood there for a moment. Then I picked up his phone. I opened the chat. 47 messages, going back to October, since the week we moved. I read them standing in the kitchen in my socks, the water glass still in my hand, getting cold. Barbara, Grace seems lost lately. Has Daniel said anything to you? Diane, she always takes forever to warm up. Remember last Thanksgiving? Barbara, Peyton walked into her new gym the first week and made 3 friends. Just walked in. Diane, they're just different kids. Grace is more internal. Barbara, internal. That's one word for it. Diane, Lauren coddles her too much, honestly. Doesn't push her. Barbara, Daniel should say something. She needs more structure. Diane, Grace gets that quality from Lauren's side, I think. Her mother was the same way. And then the one I kept coming back to. The one I read 3 times, then 4. Barbara, I don't want to say this to Daniel, but honestly, sometimes I wonder if Grace is ever going to find her place. Some kids just don't. Some kids just don't. I put the phone down on the counter. I looked out the window at the dark backyard. I thought about Grace in October, wrapping each rock in newspaper, labeling each package, saving her tears for the car window. I thought about the birthday card, 3 hours, marigolds for warmth and devotion. I thought about the way she reorganizes her desk in the dark when she's working something out. Some kids just don't. I picked the phone back up and took screenshots of every single message. Then I put the phone back exactly where it was. Daniel came out of the shower to find me at the kitchen table. He knew immediately. I could see it in the way his face changed before I said a single word. "How long have you known about this chat?" I said. "I didn't start it. I was added to it." "How long, Daniel?" "Since October." I looked at him. 4 months, I said. "You've been in this chat for 4 months. You read these messages. You read your mother say she doesn't know if our daughter will ever find her place. And you didn't say anything to me. You didn't say anything to her." He sat down, put his hands on the table. I didn't know how to bring it up. "She made her a birthday card," I said. 3 hours. "She pressed marigolds into it because she looked up what flowers mean and she wanted to get it right. And your mother sat in this chat and called her a child who might never find her place." He was quiet. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. He looked up. "Barbara no longer has a standing invitation to this house. She is welcome when she gives notice, and when I agree. She does not have a key. She does not drop by unannounced. She does not stay without a conversation first. Lauren, she has a key to our house and a private chat called Harper Family, minus Lauren, where she questions whether our daughter will amount to anything. The key comes back. What else? Diane is done with Christmas. I know it's her thing. I know she's been organizing it for 6 years, and she loves it. But she sat in that chat and said, Grace gets her qualities from my side like it was a diagnosis. She doesn't organize the holiday my daughter sits in the middle of anymore. He nodded slowly. In the $400 I've been sending your mother every month. That stops today. I have been contributing to her household for 3 years, quietly, without making it a thing. I'd like to stop contributing to the household of a woman who wonders in writing whether my child will ever find her place. Is there anything else? Yes. Your mother calls Grace, not to apologize in a general way, specifically. She asks about the rocks. She listens. She stays on the phone for more than 5 minutes. If she can do that, we can talk about everything else. He made the calls that night. I heard most of it from the bedroom. Barbara cried, said she didn't mean it that way, said it was just venting between family, said she loves Grace. Of course she loves Grace. How could I think otherwise? I wrote down what she said, added it to the folder. The folder had a name by then. I called it In Case I Need It. Diane called me directly the next morning. I let it go to voicemail. Her message lasted 4 minutes. It moved through defensive, then apologetic, then back to defensive, and finally landed somewhere that was trying to sound reasonable. She didn't mean anything by it. She was just talking. She loves Grace. She thinks Grace is a great kid. She just worries sometimes. You know how it is. She's just being honest. Honest. I added the voicemail to the folder and didn't call her back. 3 weeks passed. Then Barbara called and asked if she could visit, not drop by. Asked. Gave 3 days' notice. Suggested a time and said if it didn't work, she was flexible. I said yes. She arrived on a Saturday afternoon with a book about geology. A real one. Thick, hardcover, full of photographs. Not a children's book. A real reference book, the kind Grace would actually use. She sat at the kitchen table with Grace for 45 minutes. I stayed in the kitchen but gave them space. I heard Barbara ask about the collection. I heard Grace explain the difference between igneous and sedimentary. I heard Barbara ask a follow-up question, a real one, not the kind adults ask children when they're waiting for their turn to talk. I heard Grace laugh once, surprised. When Barbara left, Grace came and found me folding laundry in the bedroom. "Grandma was really nice today," she said. She was. She remembered the name of the one from the riverbed. I told her about it like 2 months ago, and she remembered. "She's trying," I said. Grace leaned in the doorway. "Mom, is everything okay? Like, with you and Dad and everyone?" I looked at her. "Everything is fine," I said. "I'm just making sure things are the way they should be." She looked at me for a moment the way she does when she's deciding whether to push further. Then she nodded. "Okay," she said, and went back to her room. The $400 stayed canceled. Barbara hasn't mentioned it once. Either she understands why, or she's decided not to risk asking. Either way, it stays canceled until I decide otherwise. And I haven't decided otherwise yet. Diane didn't organize Christmas. We kept it small. Just us. One other family from the neighborhood. And Grace's new friend from school, Jess, who also collects things. Buttons, in her case. Vintage ones organized by material and decade. At some point, Grace and Jess disappeared to Grace's room and came back 20 minutes later with a full presentation laid out on the coffee table. Rocks and buttons arranged together, sorted by color and origin, each one labeled in Grace's small, careful handwriting with a little flag made from tape and a toothpick. They made everyone come and look. Barbara was there. She stood in the doorway and watched her granddaughter explain the difference between a piece of rose quartz and a piece of pink feldspar to a room full of adults who were genuinely paying attention, because Grace was the kind of person who made you want to pay attention. Barbara caught my eye across the room. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Grace was in bed, Daniel sat next to me on the couch. "She's going to be fine," he said. "I know," I said. "She always was." That's the thing they never understood. All 47 messages, all that quiet certainty that Grace was somehow lacking, somehow falling behind, somehow a child who might never find her place. They were watching the wrong thing. They were watching her against Peyton, against some idea of what a child should look like from the outside. They were watching her silence and calling it emptiness. They were watching her patience and calling it slowness. They missed everything. They missed the rock collection with its labeled containers and its worn-out reference book with character. They missed the birthday card with the pressed marigolds and the 3 hours it took to make it. They missed the way she reorganizes her desk in the dark when she's thinking. They missed the way she saved her tears for the car window because she didn't want anyone to feel responsible for them. Some kids just don't find their place, Barbara had written. Grace found her place. She's been in it the whole time. If this story stayed with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and tell me, did I go too far or not far enough?